everyone, and welcome to Not Just Numbers, Honest Conversations with a Financial Advisor and Lawyer. I am Madison Demora, and I'm here with Mike Gary. Mike is a financial advisor and a CFP practitioner and the founder and the CEO of Yardley Wealth Management. He is also an estate planning lawyer, and his law firm is Yardley Estate Planning. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Madison, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good, good. So, as we head into 2026, we wanted to take a step back and look at what shaped 2025, from the new tax legislation to shifts in trade and energy policy, plus the broader economic picture that's setting the stage for the year ahead.
Maddie, it really was a year of significant change. The One Big Beautiful Bill, the OBBBA, introduced some of the most notable tax updates we've seen in years.
Absolutely. So today I'll be asking Mike to help us break down what these changes mean for you, your family, and your business as we look toward planning for 2026. Mike, let's start with the OBBBA. What were the most important updates people should know about?
I think a big one is that many provisions from the 2017 Tax Cuts and Job Act were made permanent. The bill also introduced updates meant to simplify planning and stimulate growth.
I know the standard deduction increase got a lot of attention. Can you walk us through that?
Sure. The standard deduction now is $15,750 for single filers and $31,500 for joint filers, and both are indexed for inflation. So those are big numbers. I mean, that is a lot. If you wanted to compare from a few years ago, it's like double what it was. And what that means is many fewer people need to itemize, right? Because they just take the standard deduction and they pay less tax that way. And so it gives households more predictability and greatly simplifies tax filing.
There was also something called the senior bonus deduction, right?
Yep, a temporary $6,000 deduction for Americans aged 65 and older, available through 2028 with income limits. It's a modest but meaningful benefit that's worth including in multi-year planning.
And what about business owners? Anything significant for them?
Quite a bit. The bill made 100% bonus depreciation permanent and maintained the 20% qualified business income deduction. Both are strong incentives for reinvestment, especially for equipment-heavy businesses.
And the salt cap changed too.
Yep. Salt cap increased from 10,000 to 40,000 with phase outs for high earners. It's another way the bill attempts to give taxpayers more flexibility while encouraging spending and investment. It's kind of walking back the limit that was placed because the blue states tend to have more uh, states with higher income tax. So people who were hurt by this were mostly New York, New Jersey, California residents.
So overall, it sounds like we have more predictable tax environments, at least for now.
Exactly. But predictability also means it's important to review strategies early in 2026 to make sure you're taking full advantage of the current rules.
All right, so the OBBBA didn't just impact income taxes. What changed around estate and gift planning?
So, a major shift. We now have a permanent federal exemption of $15 million per person or $30 million for married couples, and that's indexed for inflation starting in 2026.
That's huge, but you always remind clients that permanent doesn't always mean forever.
Exactly. Future legislation could absolutely bring these levels down. If there's one thing we know for sure is they're going to change the tax rules. That's why now is a unique window for strategies that take advantage of the elevated exemptions.
What kind of strategies are getting the most attention?
So we're seeing strong interest in things like spousal lifetime access trusts or SLATs, GRATs, and dynasty trusts, all designed to lock in these higher exemptions. Coordinating with your state attorney and CPA ensures these strategies are efficient and compliant.
And state taxes still matter too, right?
They always do. Several states still have their own estate or inheritance taxes, so state level planning remains essential.
Outside of tax changes, 2025 brought a lot of policy movement in trade and energy. Can you talk about what changed?
Sure, the administration declared a national energy emergency. which expanded domestic production and eased permitting rules for fossil fuel projects. It sparked debate because some see increased energy independence, and others see a step back from environmental priorities.
And there were new tariffs as well.
Yes, tariffs on auto, steel, pharmaceuticals, and other imports. They created short-term volatility, but they also pushed companies to bring more manufacturing back to the U.S.
So a short-term shakeup for what could be long-term opportunity.
Well, yeah, maybe. Who knows? I mean, we're already seeing some new domestic projects in advanced manufacturing and infrastructure. Um, but then, the other in other places, they've stopped domestic manufacturing. So I think it's a mixed bag, really trying to figure things out. And, it's really important to try to keep perspective as the policies continue to evolve.
All right, so despite all these changes, the markets held up pretty well in 2025. What stood out to you?
So the S&P 500 finished up around 15%, and the Nasdaq gained nearly 18%. We also saw the funds we use for foreign investments went up a lot, like 40%. And the fund FRDM that we've used for emerging markets was up over 50%, I think. Or it was up 50% like through January at some point compared to a year earlier. It was up a whole lot. Tech, especially AI related companies, continue to lead, but even fixed income saw improvement as inflation eased.
And the economy itself held pretty steady too.
Yes, we saw 3.8% GDP growth in the second quarter, the strongest since 2023. Inflation dropped to around 2.9% and unemployment stayed below 4%. Headlines were dramatic, but fundamentals remain solid.
So as we look ahead, what are the major forces to watch in 2026?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the big ones, right? Trade agreements, interest rate policy, and the midterm elections.
And how might those influence the economy?
Well, trade negotiations will affect inflation and consumer prices. Economists expect slower GDP growth around 1.7% and likely rate cuts totaling around 0.75% through the year. But you really never know what's going to happen with those.
And of course, election year volatility always comes up.
Yep. Historically, markets tend to focus more on economic data than politics over time, but policy can move markets short term. Usually fundamentals drive long-term outcomes.
All right, Mike. So as 2026 begins, it's a great time to make sure your financial and tax plans reflect the latest changes from tax law updates to estate strategies and shifting economic conditions.
And collaboration really is key. The best outcomes tend to come when your financial advisor, CPA, and attorney are working together to ensure nothing gets overlooked.
If 2025 taught us anything, it's that preparation and flexibility matter.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll keep sharing updates and insights throughout the year ahead.
For more information on Yardley Wealth Management or Yardley Estate Planning, you can visit our websites at yardleywealth.net and yardleyestate.net. You can also follow us on socials at Yardley Wealth Management. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. This podcast has been produced by Madison Demora and Mike Gary with technical and artistic help from Poe Production.